What's up everyone again, Aloma Bagi here. Welcome yet to another video. I hope you guys had a good weekend. So in this video, we're just going to be doing our weekly analysis, showing you some of the pairs I'm looking at and some of the areas of interest in the trades that I'll be looking to take this week. Starting with the dollar index, dollar index has been bearish for quite some time. I think since the beginning of the year, we've just been seeing a lot of bearish momentum. And that's just kind of been the trend. So I feel like we are sort of overstretched at the moment. And what we might be looking for is possible reversals, which is what I've been timing for the rest of the week. For the past week, I've been looking for price to sort of give us that reversal. As we can see, we have been bearish, forming higher lows and lower lows. No, sorry, lower highs and lower lows, lower highs and lower lows. Okay. So then what we might be looking for is some sort of reversal and correction to the upside is what the dollar index might be giving us. Now, as of this week, what I'll be looking at, last week we had some nice bearish sells. We did have a price correction and reaction off the bottom around the 96.7 price point. Now we are at 97, around the 97 area of interest, which is this area right here. We can see that there's multiple rejections that happen there. So this is a key level of support and resistance, and price is currently at that zone. So now, when price is at this zone, what I'd be looking for, we can see that we have had an internal break of structure right there. We did have a bounce off the bottom. We do have a nice area of demand right there. Price has sort of mitigated it and pushed to the upside. What I'd be looking for is two things. One, today's what? The 7th of July, Monday. What I'd be looking for price to do is possibly bounce off this area, come back down into these deep demands, and then give us that continued ascent to the upside. If not, what else I'd be looking for is if price closes confidently above this area, then give us a nice bullish momentum or bullish engulfing candles with strength. Then look for that retest of the 97.12 region, and then we can continue on to the upside and look for those buys, because that's where I'd be interested in positioning myself in the dollar index as of now. We can see, let's see what price has already given us as early signs. We can see we got an early change of character there. We can also say that this is our chalk if you're not too aggressive. So change there. That demand gave us that chalk. So price came back and mitigated that area. And then we continued pushing to the upside. We did get a sort of candle close here. So we can say that that is our break of structure. If we are being a bit aggressive, we can see that the bulls have pushed price all the way up there to about the 97.4 region. So that means there is some bullish pressure because of that big candle. So it shows that institutions might be stepping in to possibly go ahead with those buys. Now, just that reaction off of this zone is really crucial, because then if we get that big reaction on to the upside, then maybe I can look for price to come back here. Okay. Price to sort of come back to that range. You can see that we do have some good inside bars there. So a short range and then a breakout of that range, then come back for a retest. Breakout of that range, come back for a retest of sorts, and then we can continue buying to the upside. From there, I'd be looking for some sort of entries, possibly from somewhere around there, down in the 15-minute time frame. So now that we're bullish on the dollar index, let's look at some of our favorite dollar pairs. So I'll start with EU. Okay, starting with EU on the daily, we can see that we have been bullish for quite some time, just like the dollar index. So then we can say we can sort of look for some corrections. We have had that swing break of structure, so we do have our swing highs over here. So we do have a swing high right there. And then we can say that our swing low is down, down around there. Okay. So so we can look to play that internal higher time frame pullback. So let's see what this is. We have a forward demand there that has sort of been mitigated. There could be some more buys, or some more buys sitting down at this price point around the 1.17. region. However, we can see that this is a big bearish engulfing candle, showing us that big sellers came into the market, and now price is just correctively moving back to the supply region. That means that we could see potential sells to continue, right? Yeah, so that's that. We can see internal still pushing higher. We continued breaking structure all the way to the upside from the 1.16 region to 1.17, and then now we're at highs of 1.18. We did have our lower high print right there. Last week we were looking for intraday sells, which we did get some interesting sells last week. We did get stopped out on one of those sells. Let me just show you that real quick on what happened. Price took us out and then continued selling to the downside. So you can see that entry. What I was looking for is catching that that high, catching that higher high, and then price reversals. Price reversal, as you can see, we had that nice swing to the upside. We did get a nice break of structure. So then after that break of structure, we do anticipate a swing pullback. So then we're looking to catch that swing pullback. We did get price changing of character right there, and then price came back right into that supply zone, and we wanted to short that supply. However, what did price do? Price continued to the upside slightly, took out that liquidity, so we did become the liquidity on that particular day, and then price just continued dropping to the downside. We did catch a second entry on the lower time frame, and then we're able to get that trade right there, a nice 1:2.4. Yeah, then we can see price continued bouncing back. Intraday sells again from this region right here as we continued breaking structure to the downside. Price came back there, and then you could have caught some other nice sells from that supply. So again, on the higher time frame, what are we looking at? Price to continue to the downside, possibly, as we're anticipating dollar to sort of strengthen this week. So then let me just get rid of that so that our charts are looking good. It's a deeper pullback. Yes, this is some of my notes. Okay, so what can we see here? We can see that price came here, gave us that high, gave us a pullback. We corrected structure. Okay, then we came back into that supply zone right there that caused that change of character or a break of structure, internal break of structure. And then what did price do? Dropped just as we anticipated, came back. Now we remember that if we are playing that swing internal pullback, then we know that our demand areas will be our areas of just rejections causing some pullbacks. So then price reacted off of that 1.17 area and then give us this corrective pullback all the way to the upside. So then what I can start looking for now is looking for some sells around that around this 4-hour supply here that gave us that change of character. However, we can see that it was mitigated slightly, but I will be looking for some intraday sells. Some could have already happened. I think I would have been interested to go in around this area, but what would be interesting as well is to see it come back to one of our maybe M15 demand, and then we can look for those sells. However, we can see that that big wick is right there, so it is a bigger it is a bigger supply area right here. So we do know that price could still come back to the upside. If we are lucky enough, we'll just be watching on that to see what price does. Yeah, so we're keeping that in mind. And what we'll be targeting, I'll be targeting these lows down here, 1.16 region, and then deeper regions of the 1.161, 1.4 right here, where we can look for now those nice reactions and possibly get some intraday buys as well, because then we are getting back into this swing range, possibly that equilibrium. If we just take a sneak peek using the fib, that is our equilibrium. So yeah, that's kind of what I'd be looking at for euro dollar. GBP USD, almost the same thing. However, this one already started its pullback to the downside. Let me just get rid of that. We did see a big rally to the upside last week. A nice rally, nice push to the upside. Very little resistance there. So now we can see that price is being a bit corrective, and that internal pullback that swing pullback has already begun. Okay, so for here, maybe continuation sells. We can see that one has been mitigated as price continues to the downside. As price continues to the downside, this is our swing range. So now we can be wary or cautious that price could look at that. We're anticipating this bounce from this region last week, which did exactly that. So we're waiting for that internal pullback just the same way we're looking at, same way we're looking at EU, form those highs, give us those highs, then give us that internal pullback. We can see a break of internal structure, and then price pull back to the 1.360 region, give us that pullback, and then now we'll be looking for continuations. From an intraday perspective, we wanted price to come back to the 1.37 region right here, that nice supply, and then we continue selling, but it seems like price will just be leaving, price left without us. No, we did get one nice sell, but we can see that price is not really pulling back deeper into that 1.137.3 region to continue to the downside. However, we can say that we do have possibly some remaining buys, do we? I don't think so, because we can see that all that liquidity has been taken. So I don't expect price to continue buying to the upside. Expect price to continue selling to the downside. What I had last week was one interesting trade, one of the fastest trades that happened, that's ever happened in my trading journey. It's been very interesting, quite interesting. What we're seeing again, we saw those highs right here. You can see, let me just zoom out a bit. We can see that swing structure right there, big picture, that swing structure. We got a break of structure to the upside. Price moved and rallied all the way to the 1.137 region, and then give us that liquidation of the highs. These highs now became strong internal highs because we can see that change of character and internal breaks of structure had already happened. So when price came back, liquidated some of these remaining sellers or early sellers, then give us another correction to the downside. I was now interested in looking to go in for those continuation sells. So then what did I see? I saw that price gave us another swing, break of structure right here. This was very aggressive. Nice break of structure there. Internal structure was broken. We continued to the downside. Price reacted slightly off of that previous demand. Right here, we can see it. Unmitigated demand there became a reaction point for that pullback. And then right after that pullback, I dropped down to, I was on the lower time frame. I was just looking for a continuation because this was going to be aggressive. I knew that after liquidation of some of those strong, internal strong highs, price would be aggressively moving to the downside. So I knew that we wouldn't be getting that deeper pullback again. That would be very corrective. There was just going to be an impulse to the downside. Again, we were also waiting for New York Open to happen. So then I wanted to ride that wave before volatility kicked in. I went in at 1.36, shared this entry with some of the members in the group. And those who caught it were really happy because we did get a nice trade to the downside. A quick 1:3 with a big stop loss. Again, I went in on the 15-minute just because price was a bit aggressive. It was also a Wednesday, so I was a bit up and down. I wasn't settled really. So I just had to go in with a bigger stop just to protect my my trade. But again, I'm glad that it worked out. If I had time to go down to the 15-minute, to the 5-minute or a 1-minute entry, and I would have easily caught a 1:5 or 1:8 or 10 possibly. But that one is one of those unicorn trades that you wish would happen every day. They are quite rare, but when they do happen, and it's quite the occasion. Now we got on the higher time frame again, back to GU higher time frame. We were anticipating for that pullback. Now price should be continuing to the downside. Let me just see if we do get a correction to the upside, maybe a catalyst of sorts, maybe news to bring us back to the upside on the weakening of the dollar, then I'd be interested to continue shorting or selling. As of now, from an intraday perspective, let's see. Yeah, we can see higher time frame still giving us more changes of character. So then this is that, which has already been mitigated for our supply. Okay, yeah. From an intraday perspective, I don't know. I'd be hoping for price to sort of come back slightly and then we continue selling to the downside. Or since we're already getting that reaction, I can just drop down to 15-minute, be a bit more aggressive. Let me just do that real quick. Yeah, I'll be looking for maybe Frankfurt Open, London Open for our demand. So no, supply. I'll be looking for maybe Frankfurt Open or London Open to give me some sort of correction. Do we have a 15-minute? Yeah, maybe this one. Okay, yeah. I'll be hoping for this to give me some sort of reaction. Some sort of reaction from here. Give us that reaction to the upside, a slight pullback, and then look for continuation sells, possibly from somewhere there, if we're to just go in on the 15 minutes, but I'll be setting my alerts and dropping down to the lower time frames to get some good entries. Okay, yeah, so that's what I'm looking for. My targets, see what my targets could be from an intraday perspective. If we were to come back there, possibly go down, I'll be targeting maybe the 1.35 region around here where that liquidity was sitting, was taken. Sellers seem to have pushed price to around that region right there. So 1.35 could be one of the targets, and then we can start targeting deeper pullbacks all the way maybe to 1.350 regions, just to see if we can actually get those good trades. Good risk to reward right there. GU is one of the pairs I'll be looking at this week. Very interested. USD CAD. USD CAD is also, see what we're looking at for USD CAD. We've been bearish for quite some time. We've been bearish for quite some time. Printing lower highs and lower lows, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. We got a good lower high print last week, and then we did get some nice sells off of that region, off of that zone. The 1.38 price point right there. Okay, yeah. So right there we got a nice print of a lower high, and then on the way to the downside. Now this lower high has failed to break these lows right here, these previous lows. We are in an interesting supply area right there, so I'll be looking at it. I'll be moving to the lower time frame just to see what it does for us. But we can see that internal structure has been consistently been broken, moving down. Now, USD, what's our bias for USD? Some slight corrections to the upside. We are bullish on the dollar this week at least. So that means USD CAD, I think we might be looking for some buys, potentially. The sells seem to have taken quite some time. So 1, 2, 3, 4, about 4 internal breaks of structure, which, is the one is kind of a nice way to judge or to gauge price getting exhausted and getting to another area of interest. So we are at this area of supply, of demand right here. Sorry, we had that demand extreme. That's the one. Okay, so I'll just refine that zone. Demand, we can see we're getting that good reaction. We got deep into that zone. And then what did we see? So that's our fractal. That's our high. We have had a change of character right there. So let's see. That's okay. Right. Intraday perspective, I'd be looking for price to sort of, let's see how price reacts off of that zone, and then gives us a correction, and then we continue buying, right? That's kind of what I'm looking at. We do have another deeper zone right here, an extreme zone. That's kind of the one. Okay. Yeah, because we had that zone and price sort of came back. Look at that sell to buy. That's a big sell candle. These are the ones that are a bit tricky to sort of, because then we have this entire zone, right? That is an entire zone right there. So other traders will be looking for a breakout of that zone, which is still valid. It is a bigger zone, however, but I would just like to refine it to these candles. So 1.3, excuse me. So 1.357, and then that area right here, 1.36. We'll be looking for price to continue to the upside. And then we know that these previous unmitigated zones, that one was gated already, but that area right there should give us a reaction and a pullback. And then we come back and continue buying to the upside. On the 15 minutes, let's see what's going on the 15 minute. yeah, we'll be looking for price to react off of this area right here. So that's an area right there. A reaction, we can see that price pushed to the upside. Buyers had already stepping into the market aggressively, which is good. And we have that zone right there. So I'd be looking for price to sort of come back to this area. Boom. Let me just create that alert right there. Come back to that area, or sometimes we know that price doesn't necessarily have to come back all the way. Let me use that alert. And then we can possibly start looking for long positions from here on an intraday perspective. So again, what's the word? London open or Frankfurt open could be the ones to catalyze or give us that catalyst that can move us all the way to the upside. We do have another zone, unmitigated area right here. Let's see, that's it right there. Yeah. So that's kind of what I'm looking at. So we'll see how Frankfurt and London Open reacts today, and then we can target some of those entries. That can be another good entry point. We'll see how price reacts off of that. Off of that, this can be our extreme zone right there. So yeah, we wait. That's kind of my bias on USD CAD. So yeah, I think that's it. On the daily, I mean, we've been chopping around. However, we've been creating those higher highs and higher lows. High highs and higher lows. We did have a nice fake out to the downside. Then we continued up. But it seems like the buyers could be exhausted with that big institutional candle to the downside, big bearish engulfing candle to the downside. So yeah, we did have our break of structure. So we are playing that on this daily zone. We are playing that internal pullback to the downside, and then we could potentially see how price reacts from there. Okay, so let me just refine these zones. We can see that internal. We did have a change. That was our high. All right, now we are coming to our daily change. Our character right there. So looking at it on the 4 hour, let's see. Yeah, weekly open is giving us that that daily change. This should be our 4 hour swing, possibly. We can see, what do we see here? Yeah. So we just want to see how price reacts off of that zone and gives us. However, internal is continuously breaking structure to the downside, which is good for us. Okay. Good for us. Okay. So then what do we have? So we have these zones here. Of that supply that caused our break. This one also hasn't, price also hasn't come back there. Yeah, unmitigated zones right there. We also have this beautiful demand right there, which is where what we'd be looking for price to sort of react off of. We do have that area there. Big zone there. So we have that entire zone, but we can refine it as we continue. I'm just going to get rid of this. Okay. Right. Yeah. So look at that. Very, very nice. Very nice price action. So then, okay, intraday perspective, I'd be looking for that swing break of structure. Okay. Once we get that, then we play the internal pullback to a reaction point right there. Then we can continue with those sells. So for AUDUSD, I mean, long-term sells is what I'm looking at. But from an intraday perspective, I'd be interested in looking at some buys to the upside, and then up to this supply that gives us that break of structure. I mean, first we want to see that catalyst break of structure, which could happen today, Frankfurt Open or London Open. Definitely has to happen, and then we can play that internal pullback and then look at sells to the downside, right? Yes. So that's kind of what we're looking at this moment. Okay, very nice price action right there. Yeah, we can see it. Okay, AUD USD, same. Looking at those cells again, aligns sort of with our bias that the dollar is strengthening. So let's wait and see what price does. I can add an alert right there, and also just add an alert right here. See how price reacts. And actually, we can get rid of this one. Yeah. NZD USD, about the same thing. We were hoping for price to sort of come back at the 0.61204 levels and then continue selling, but price just continued to the downside. Remember again, sometimes price doesn't have to get back to your region. Looking at swing structure, we did swing, break, and now we are playing that internal pullback to the downside. We can see that price is aggressively selling as of this morning. And again, similar to AUD USD, we're looking for price to continue selling. So now what I'd be interested in from an intraday perspective is just once we get that internal break of structure, then look to play look to play those longs into our supply that caused that break of structure, and then we continue selling. So we have that zone right there. That one is taken. Okay, so we do have this extreme right here, but that has been taken. But again, there could be some more positions sitting, some more cells sitting up there. This should be a reaction point. Let's see how it holds up. As you can see, the area that price is at the 0.60 region, this one right here. Want to see if price actually just breaks below it aggressively, then we can just look for continuation sells. But if price does give us a rejection, we can drop down to the lower time frame and look for that buy to the those buys to that supply area, and then we can look for continuation sells. So still, again, NZD USD, looking for those sells in the long term as we play that internal pullback to maybe some of these regions right here. But then we can be wary that pullback might be over, possibly on that swing, because swing is powerful. So then we can just get that continued reaction and target those previous week highs as a continuation. However, for now, still bearish on NZD USD. We'd be looking for intraday buys to sort of come back to this 0.60 level, and then maybe continuation sells to the downside, maybe 0.59, 0.598, 0.594 levels could be hit as we continue to the downside. That is just my bias for NZD USD. Looking at gold, let me just do a quick recap of some of the trades we took last week with the group. Interesting trades for sure. I think we had two winners and one loser, which, you know, is a good result as well. What we're looking at was that swing. We got this beautiful swing to the upside. We got a nice break of structure, and we're looking to play that internal pullback, which is sort of what we did. This one was a bit aggressive as well. As soon as we broke there, we were in for those sells at around the 3,348, 33.48 region, and we sold there all the way to the downside with a nice 1:2. I'll be doing a full trade recap on why I took that entry. We looked for continuation sells as price came back into these areas that gave us that break of structure. That supply gave us a break of structure. However, what price did is liquidated us, moved to the downside, and then continued up again. So good stop loss there. Was a hard stop there was necessary for sure. And then now we've continued again to the downside. Once we took out these strong internal highs as a liquidation, give us that change of character, internal break of structure, then pulled back to that supply area that caused that internal break. Then what did price do? We continued to the downside with a nice 1:3 trade. So those were good trades right there. This is not a valid trade. I think what was happening here? Nothing really, because there's no entry. Why would this be here? 6:15. No, I wasn't trading at that point in time. I think this is just a placement here. However, this would have been a big loss if we took that trade. Wild. But I don't know why we'd be taking that trade from here. Let's see. Let's try and justify this trade. Is there a justification for why this is here? Yeah, maybe. I guess maybe what we were trying to see is prices is breaking structure. Maybe that reversal of this. But you know, that is mad because we've already come back into deep equilibrium. So why would we be buying from here? Right? Because price has already reacted off of that zone. Anyway, who knows? I'll just get rid of that. Gold, again, this week, we're still looking for continuation sells. So now let's look at the higher time frame and what it's telling us. Yes, more sells on gold. The buys would be looking for buys at 3391 and continue to those highs, those all-time highs. But that's not what we are seeing. We're seeing our continuation sells. What we can possibly look for is supply. Is for intraday buys to these regions here that have given us this continued break of structure to the downside, as you can see. Maybe, however, from a swing perspective, we can see that we have already caused, given ourselves a nice deep pullback into that swing range. We were bullish on gold for some time, and then we price reversed quite a bit, giving us a change of price delivery. But the state of delivery at this point in time, again, we had that break of structure to the upside. Possibly that was just a change of character of sorts to continue filling in, to fill us into this sell orders up here and then continue to the downside. So again, still bearish on gold for this week. We'd want to see it sort of get to the 3,000, that 3,200 level, and then we can hope for a deeper pullback to the 3,246 level right there. From an intraday perspective, again, like I said, I'll be looking for price to sort of looking for buy opportunities to get us to 33.39, 33.34 region, and then continue with those sells to the downside. If we break above this zone, we could possibly come back to maybe some of these areas right here and then look for a sort of reaction to the downside. Yeah, that is it for gold. BTC, Bitcoin, same thing as well. Looking for sells. We have struggled to get back to those all-time highs. Again, the 110,000s and 111,000s. We've really struggled. We did have a good rally to the upside the previous week, and then we can see price quickly corrected to the downside, brought us back to that 107 level. We did range quite a bit, and then we've sort of broken out of that range. So we'd want to see how price reacts to that. However, since now we're in this area of interest, where are you? Area of interest, right? So that's that. We've come back into that zone, which is a supply that caused that internal shift in state of delivery. So then we can be looking for now those intraday sells, possibly to the 108 region. However, we know that Bitcoin can be quite volatile. I'll be looking at what news we have this week. We should have a catalyst this week, being the second week of July. So then we can possibly see price come back to the 106 or 107 regions. However, you never know what might happen. So we'll just be on the lookout for Bitcoin. However, my bias for the week is possible shorts from this area, 110 region. I know we will be struggling quite a bit to break above that area again. But if we do, then I'd be happy days. We'd be looking for continuation buys to the upside because we know that it'll be aggressively looking to break out of that zone. GBP card, almost the same thing. We have a swing high right there. We did get a nice break of swing structure to the upside. What is this thing saying? Okay. Yeah, we did get a nice break of structure to the upside. Beautiful pullback coming down. So I think that pullback could be done. We can see that sellers are exhausted at this point in time. We have pulled back into a nice demand zone. On the 4-hour time frame, what I'll be looking for price to do is give me confirmation on this time frame and then confirmation on the lower time frames, and I'll be looking for some sort of buys. We can see that we do have that right there. We did break that. Boom. Change in state right there. So who caused that? Yeah, this is that tricky price action where, you're just trying to find a good zone that sort of makes sense, which, that is definitely it. However, we need a Nini candle. Yeah, we just didn't do any aggressive pushes. What I'd be looking for is some sort of aggressive push out of this area to confirm that we are now bullish. So what I'm looking for is just price to sort of pull back to maybe 1.853 or 1.852, and then we can look for continuation buys to this area, 1.874 region, where now I'd be interested to sort of look for some other sort of sells to the downside, possibly. Possible sells to the downside as a reaction from an intraday perspective. Yeah, that's kind of what I'll be looking for this week. Yeah, as we continue. Let's see. Yeah, GBP CAD has just been moving sideways quite a bit. So I think we've broken out of that zone for now. Dollar yen has been in this weird range for quite some time. We did get a nice break out of that zone, but then we got a V-shaped aggressive pullback to the downside, which is also very interesting because now we came back to, it just brought us back into this range. If we are range traders, what I'd be looking for, maybe reaction off of the 145.8 zone for possible sells. And then I can also just be looking for possible buys from down here from an intraday perspective, of course. From a swing perspective or long-term perspective, I'd have to wait for price to break out of one of these ranges with confidence for me to be looking for either continuation buys or continuation sells. We can see that we've been looking for buys from the 148.6 region or zone, but we just didn't get there. Right. Yeah. So, I mean, nothing interesting, nothing exciting on USD JPY. So I'll just move on to the next pair. GBP JPY. Yeah. A bit interesting. We did get a nice trade last week, which was a pullback trade of sorts, which is nice, Let's see. Boom. Yeah, so we had correction to the downside. We have been printing lower highs and lower lows. We did get that nice break or liquidation of these strong internal highs. And then with that said, we did get into a 197.956 zone, sell, and a sell correction to the downside, which was very, very beautiful. This was running throughout the weekend. What we are targeting is 196.426. Let's wait and see whether price will get there. However, on a higher time frame perspective, I am looking for some buys. Yeah, buys. We can see that our demand zones have been holding up quite well. We did have a slight change in state of delivery last week internally. Then price pulled back into, this is why we took this trade. Price pulled back into a nice higher time frame supply area right there as an internal pullback, which was good, beautiful as well. And then we took those sells. So then what we are looking for is for price to continue to the downside, come back to maybe this 195.6 zone is what I'd be looking at. And then we can continue to the upside, target some of these weak highs right here on the higher time frame. Because yeah, still bullish on GJ for sure for this week. It's been giving us some very, very nice price action as we continue. Let's see. Yeah. Still quite good. Yeah, very good price action. Last week was just quite nice with very, very nice sell-offs. So yeah, let's see what price does this week. Again, Frankfurt Open and London Open today would be our catalyst. for the day to give us that more pullbacks to maybe some of this supply here. Maybe a reaction off of that, and then we continue to the downside, possibly, but I'd be looking for buys from this region down here. So whatever needs to happen for price to get here is what I'd be interested in looking at. UJ, this is a loss that we took last week of June, so I'll get rid of that. We were anticipating for this price correction to the downside. Let me just explain that trade. Let me put that back here. Yeah, we were looking for price to, right after we got that nice swing, break out of that zone, break. We were looking to play that corrective internal pullback. So we see that price give us a change in state of delivery, and then it came right back into that supply, and that's why we were taking those sells to play that pullback. However, it seems like it's changed its mind and it wants to continue to the upside, which, you know, happens sometimes. So we did take that loss, which is again a quick loss, and then price just continued on to the upside. So we do have a new structure, boom, right there, continued breaking. We have our strong right there, so we broke there, and then we did break here. Apologies. Weak. Yeah, so we can wait to see how price reacts, at least today. Then we can just say that we are continuing with that bullish bias. Okay, so breaks of structure, very, very clean price action. 170 region is where we are at from the 168 region. If you are buying on UJ, we were looking for price to come back 167.0, around this 167 region for those continuation buys, but it seems like price is just continuing with this internal bullish structure, which, you know, is valid. So then what we can wait to see is if price fails to break above this 170 high, we continue on to the downside as a corrective internal pullback, and then we can look for continuation buys. Where would I be looking to buy? That's not great. So we do have that zone there. It's a bit of a massive zone. But we will be dropping down to the lower time frame to see if we can get an entry. We also do have that extreme zone right there. No demand. So we will be waiting to see what price does. However, has it changed anything for us? Not yet. Early days, so no early signs of what price wants to do. So I will just be sitting on my hands on this one, waiting to see how price reacts today. That's our dollar index. We can see that price is moving higher. Nice, very, very nice. So that bullish bias on dollar is continuing. So again, Frankfurt and London Open are going to be our catalyst, at least of today, to see how price, what price does. We did have that zone right there, which is a sort of resistance. Let's see, what are we anticipating for price to do, which is reactive of that. However, we do have a wick right all the way to the top of the zone. So yeah, so price just comes there and then we continue with our buys. Okay, that's sort of what we are looking at. If we break below, then we can sort of possibly look for those sells. But as of now, buys are the way we are. Price is what we are looking for. Japanese yen. Let's see. What do we have here? Okay. Yeah, we've been bearish for quite some time. What is this, 4 hour? Yes. Bearish for quite some time. We have corrected quite a bit. Price did start giving us internal higher highs and higher lows. We have come back to liquidate this remaining unmitigated zone right there. on our 4 hour, and then we've reacted right off of that zone and continued on to the upside. So yeah, that's what, still bullish on the yen. So 65.20 is the zone we are at now. What I'll be targeting is a 6700 zone, and then possibly get ourselves up to 6780, 6800 by the end of, maybe not by the end of the week, but by the end of the month, possibly, if we continue with that bullish pressure on JPY. Very nice price action. We can see that price is reacting off of that supply. So then I'd be looking for those buys on some of my JPY pairs. All right, guys, I think that is it for... Yes, that is it for me this week. Let's just look at some of our catalysts. Today is Monday. Nothing really is happening today. Tuesday, nothing. We have some card news. Wednesday, Thursday, we have FOMC minutes. Wednesday, 9 p.m. That should be a good catalyst on the dollar especially. Then we do have unemployment claims on Thursday. Almost immediately after FOMC, we do have unemployment. So this week is going to be interesting. 233 is the previous. We'll be waiting to see what their forecast is for this time. We can see that previous was 233. Came out positive for the dollar. Forecast was 240. Very, very nice. Okay, so we'll be seeing what that does for US dollar this week. Then we also have news on Friday. So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, back to back. Friday we do have GBP news. Unemployment change, that's fine. Which is change in total value of goods, then employment change for card. I mean, relatively okay week, but unemployment claims a good catalyst for the week. FOMC, definitely a big catalyst for the week. They're just going to be discussing, which it came out last week on the 3rd, came out positive for the dollar, so positive for dollar. They will be discussing some of those results as we continue with a positive result for the dollar. Okay, guys, thank you for watching this video. Hope the market analysis helps you. If you haven't joined our Telegram group, please do click the link down below. We do share quite a number of setups on that Telegram group. If you do want to join our VIP, that will be launching very, very, very soon. And also educational courses and packages will be launching very, very soon. So do stay tuned for that. And remember, guys, this is the channel where we do stay informed. We do stay active, everything trading and investing in the financial markets. So I do my daily analysis. So do subscribe to the channel, turn on your notification bells so that you don't miss out on a new video when I upload it. So today in the evening as well, right after trading, I'll be uploading a new video on how the markets played out compared to our analysis, and then forecast for what we expect on Tuesday. So these daily analysis videos will be coming out and will be shared with you and the Telegram community as well. Guys, until next time, have a good one.